Speaking of robots, Titanfall. Wonderful video game that came out at the start of the Xbox One's life cycle. Well, relatively, first couple of months at least. Sort of the big, first exclusive. It was on PC as well, but first big, console exclusive. We've been waiting for Zampella & Co. to show off something about their second game. Apparently Titanfall sold enough that they will be making a second game for a bunch of platforms now, coming out on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PC, probably not on Wii U, they originally said, but we'll see about that. Yes, it's we're going to see more about it on Sunday, June 12th, which is the sort of EA's thing, EA Play they're doing, because they're not attending E3. But what we have seen so far is a very, very short teaser trailer where a Titan has a sword.
Is it a Scottish guy narrating?
No,
Irish?
No, I think he's New Zealand.
Really?
I heard New Zealand accent there.
Okay.
He's either Australian or Kiwi. Yeah.
Oh.
Cool.
You guys went for Scottish? Scottish, what did you think?
I felt the same. A
Yeah,
little bit of
Scottish?
Irish.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Americans have trouble with that one.
You know it. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because it could be South African as well.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Fucking clones. So, fan of the first Titanfall, Rob?
Hell yeah. Just that parkour system, running around with a shoddy, hitting up walls, wall running. The whole Titan aspect was awesome.
First game to kind of do that. We saw a bunch of games since. Obviously, Call of Duty's basically taking that to heart.
Yeah.
Even games like Overwatch now, when I think about it, that's got a bunch of mantling in there. Even the new Doom has got some sort of double jump mantle thing going on.
Yeah, the game was smooth. I mean,
Halo 5 too.
Yeah.
Halo 5. Right. Game was smooth. I would say my only issues were like the campaign nature of it, right?
Yeah, and this is
so
kind of like a divisive thing. Where did you fall on that? Because some people were happy that, they tried something new, but other people were like, oh, I wish I just had a single player, fleshed out universe. Where did you fall on that, Rob?
I just had a hard time following the story because you're playing a multiplayer match, which is extremely competitive. Typically, my mind goes 100% into that. To have a lot of VO and like story-driven elements during like a match, it felt really cluttered. Granted, they had like each opening of the match, right, had a little bit of a cutscene, which was cool. I mean, it was I give them like respect for like trying something out, like it was a really interesting idea, but came down to it, like I feel like I had to hit the web in order to find out what the actual story was sometimes.
Yeah. In fact, now when you think back of what happened in the story of Titanfall, can you put you on the spot, Mike? What happened in Titanfall 1?
I remember one side was called Mercenaries.
Yep. Was it? Maybe. Goodies and baddies?
That's about it.
Do you remember James McCallan?
Yes.
So he is the guy who, in the teaser trailer for 2, it seems to have his name on the side of the escape pod or whatever it is.
Okay.
But he died at the end of Titanfall. So,
Right. So it which further
he locked himself inside the reactor
or
in the last one.
right, and the nuke went off.
Yeah.
I think Aaron did actually surprisingly a pretty good breakdown of that trailer, which was so short. But yeah, it basically says his name on the draw pod that you see, and that kind of as you said, like insinuates it's going to be a prequel. And even the fact that there are swords, almost I feel like would hint at that.
There it is. Look at that, James McCallan. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's his pod either. You never know. They might just be fucking with us. But
Why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't it be?
I don't know, because video game marketing.
Sure.
Because who knows?
So they go, gotcha.
So I wonder, like, it's like that Mirror's Edge thing, right? It's like they're bringing back Mirror's Edge, and then we're talking about, it being a reimagining of the first game, which is sort of strange when you've only made one game. And I feel the same is the case for prequels. I feel like if you're going to do a prequel, at least leave it to like the third game. It seems a little bit strange
I agree.
to dive immediately back. In terms of content for this game, Mike, do you think the same thing? Are you looking for a more fleshed out story sort of Titanfall experience?
Yeah, because I'm with Rob. I really like what they were going for. I don't think a single player campaign is always necessary because Rainbow Six Siege didn't have one, and I still really like that game. Right. There are a bunch that do that. Overwatch doesn't have like a traditional campaign, but I've been playing a ton of that. It was mainly felt missing to me because this was a new universe that felt really appealing to me, and I wanted to know more about it just from all the trailers I saw. It was weird to me that they did that with the first game again. I want to know more about that on in the traditional sense. I want to be able to just play by myself or with my friend and kind of go through this well-paced narrative that I didn't get from the kind of broken up nature of the multiplayer campaign story.
Yeah, my feeling about that was that maybe Respawn, as we see the Titanium series sword there, perhaps Respawn had a it was a new team, it was a small team. Maybe the campaign multiplayer was just what they could do with the resources that were allowed to them. There was that they really had to build the framework for that game, and then hopefully sell enough units so that they could make a story mode. Because we're talking about Vince Zampella here. We're talking about the co-creator of Medal of Honor and Call of Duty, which are series that, although we know them a lot for the multiplayer aspect, like they're predominant, like they have very good single player campaigns in them, like throughout the entire series.
Sure.
Some of the most memorable first person shooter scenes happened in those games, the early COD games and beyond. And
Frontline.
Which Frontline?
Frontline, that D-Day scene. I remember showing my parents, like, get a load of this. They're like, wow, that looks so. It was like, that looks really good.
Like storming the Reichstag in Call of Duty 1 at the end of that game. And like we talk about like Modern Warfare, of course. And
the first Modern Warfare is still one of my favorite.
Gulag
games.
Mission in the second one, and just really great stuff. I'm wondering if they're going to throw all in on this one. Because I don't know, like there's this new thing, right, where we have all these games like Destiny and The Division and large scale like games that are games as services that they're trying to add to a lot. Even Call of Duty sort of is doing that, but on a more yearly cycle, so a little bit less aggressively because they could just sell a new game the next year. I wonder, like Titanfall never had that, right? Titanfall was kind of like Evolve was a game that sort of came out and we're like, this is what we're doing, and it was hot for about 2 months. And then sort of like died off. And it didn't really seem like they were trying to make a game which had a longer tail than that. Like it wasn't like they had this massive DLC plan. They had bits and bobs, but they didn't have this huge like roadmap.
Yeah.
So like I'm wondering, are they trying to make a game like Destiny or The Division, or are they just like saying, no, we're going to make this game. It's going to have a single player campaign in it. It's going to have multiplayer. You're going to play for a couple of months. We're going to sell a bunch of them, and then we'll make another one again.
I hope that's what they do. I think, like Destiny, Division, those have their place. I hope that because of the talent on that team, and also I don't know how much the console launch factored into their timeline I'm sure I'm assuming they had to rush a little bit, like to get it out within a few months of the Xbox One's release. Now without that pressure, and now what it's been 3 years they've had to work on this, and because of the reception of it, I would assume that they would have more resources just in terms of money and team members at their disposal.
Just 2 years. It was
2 years.
March 2014. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I would love to see them just focus on what they did really well last time and kind of improving upon that.
But Bob Jones 980 makes a good point as well, that this is around the same time that Microsoft are really pushing the like always online-ness of the Xbox One, or at least they had been pushing it prior to the release of Titanfall. So having a single player campaign was probably not in line with that message necessarily.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So the online multiplayer campaign thing was probably, if we go back to the Matrix era of Xbox One, synergized with what they were doing. So maybe they're free of the shackles of that as well. It'll be interesting to see. Interesting to see if they do cross-network play as well, because this is coming out on PlayStation 4 as well as Xbox One. Any more final thoughts on this one, Rob? Are you excited for it? They're going to show it off on, like we said, the second week of June during E3, not during E3. Is there anything else you'd like to see? Would you like a small, tight campaign and then like new multiplayer modes? Would you be happy playing the old multiplayer modes again?
Maybe some co-op in it. I don't know. Like, I think it'd be cool just to have those separated more. Like, I don't know, like replaying the maps for campaign. Like they felt so similar, right? It was like I'm playing the same map. I might as well just play multiplayer and go headstrong into that. Eventually, because I feel like, and as far as I was playing, like I remember, like no one eventually started playing campaign.
That was a big problem.
Is like you just kind of. I remember like trying or having problems joining a campaign mission. And
totally.
And then even like even got jumbled where like you're getting thrown around. Through missions, like I remember like you would try to start campaign and you go into mission 4.
Yeah.
It was like I have no idea what is going on. What is the timeline? I see everyone die by mission 9, and then there's like a whole early couple of missions, and then repeat. Then it kind of felt like a cop out to like repeat it all again from the other side.
Right. Yeah. You're right.
That was a little gimmicky, but. Yeah, I'd like to see more of a separation, because I feel like in the office we like definitely got a kick out of it.
Yeah.
We were having a lot of fun, and then unfortunately, at the time of release maybe was a little rough as well. I don't know. Kind of got over it quick. But
did have that real event game sort of moment to it, like Gears of War and stuff.
As cool as the concept was, it left a little bit to be desired in terms of execution. And I'm hoping if they do that again, maybe they can like tighten the hinges on that to make that experience work. But I would really love to see like a campaign that I can really just dive into.
Yeah. All right. Thank you both so much for coming on and talking Titanfall with us. We'll hear more about it on June 12th at EA Play. And if you're watching this on demand, let us know what you'd like in Titanfall 2 in the comments.